Hi guys, welcome to my channel. We're sitting on my bed today, so I apologize for the video being a little bit shaky, but this is just where I wanted to sit today. A couple of silly things before we get started. I wanted to show you my Hello Beautiful sign up there. I've had it for a long time, but I just love it so much. And I tried to get it in the video and I couldn't figure out a way to get the camera set up and also have that in the video. And the other thing is that my shirt says Gobble because it's a Thanksgiving shirt, and everybody's been asking me today what my shirt says. So that's what it says under there is Gobble, but it's cold, so I have a sweater on over it. So I want to talk briefly today about finishing things and about failure. This is something that's coming up in my life because my son is now a fourth grader and he is finding fourth grade quite challenging, and he is a gifted, brilliant kid, and it's hard as a mom to see him struggle, and it's also hard to find that balance between stepping in for him and interceding with his teaching team and helping him to live up to the expectations and make sure that he's being responsible for the things that are required of him. It's difficult. It hurts my heart. So we had a talk yesterday, as we do. We have a lot of stimulating conversations. He's a brilliant boy, so we talk about things a lot. And we had a conversation about failure because he's the kind of kid that puts a lot of pressure on himself. And I think that a lot of us, a lot of you out there can relate to this. He wants to do things well, and he also wants that affirmation. He wants people to think highly of him and to tell him that he did well and to think that he gives his all and does a good job. So, switching arms because I killed myself at the gym today. Woo! Okay, a little better. I might have to switch it back in a second. So, anyway, he puts a lot of pressure on himself to always do well and perform well, and he likes to be the best, and that's fine. That's very good. But the negative part of that is that he also doesn't allow for mistakes, and he doesn't really know how yet to move through failure or to really appreciate failure. Now, I do think that's something that we appreciate as adults in a way that we never can as children, and that's been my experience. And I think that will be his as well. But still, I try to kind of talk him through it and help him to have perspective on it. And I found this great quote, because of course I did. And it's actually my favorite author right now, and I am 100% sure I'm going to mispronounce his name. His first name is Neil. I can pronounce that one, but his last name is either Gaiman or Gaiman, but I keep saying Gaiman, and I'm just going to keep saying it that way because it's easier for me and I don't stumble over it, but it's Gaiman. He's a brilliant author. He's written a lot of really good books, and I just can't stop reading him right now, and I tweeted to him actually the other day and asked him about the struggle with my son, and he actually, even though he's got like 98 billion followers on Twitter, responded to me and said he sounds like me as a child. So that for me was super, super validating and heartwarming and wonderful. And I made sure to tell Emmett that when he got home from school. Okay, so the quote that I'm paraphrasing because I'm not at my computer, so I don't have it in front of me, but the quote is about finishing things. He says to finish things, that there is more to be learned, there's more to be gained from a spectacular failure than from never finishing a project. And so that was kind of the talk that I had with my son, with Emmett yesterday, was just, it's okay to fail. I mean, it's more than okay to fail. It's totally fine. It should almost be celebrated to fail. And this is something that I do in my daily life. He asked me, he was like, well, what do you know about it? You know, when do you ever mess up? And I was like, boo. Let me tell you, I mess up on the daily. I will drop a can of tomatoes and get it all over the kitchen, and the kitchen is white. I mean, I know that I'm going to be finding tomatoes for weeks. I just laugh about it. I mean, what else can you do? I do think it's funny a lot of times when things like that happen. I don't always think it's funny, but I've learned to appreciate the tripping up and the stumbling and the failures in life. I've even learned to appreciate things that are painful for me, like rejection letters. I'm out here pitching another book that I have, book idea. It's like not totally written, but I'm out here talking to agents and editors and people like that, and it's very exciting, but it's also sort of gut-wrenching when you get a rejection letter, and it's never personal, and I know that, but I do internalize, and I tend to take it personally, and I have to remind myself of the great people in history and the people that I look up to in my own life who failed spectacularly. I mean spectacularly. And when I say spectacular failure, the thing that comes to mind for me is those viral videos that everybody loves to watch of people attempting these ridiculous things on a skateboard, on a motorcycle, up in the air, and they fall and they hurt themselves. And I don't like physical comedy, and I don't think it's funny when people hurt themselves. Like, I have a hard time watching those things, but I admired so much the attempt. Yeah, I hate that people fall and fail and hurt themselves, but I love that they tried. They're probably the only people in their friend group and the only people in their tribe that even attempted the thing that they were attempting. So, okay, they failed, but they tried. That means that they had courage. That means that there's innovation. That means that they probably will be successful after some attempts. There's also a quote by Thomas Edison, who famously failed and failed and failed and failed, like 10,000 failures before he finally figured out the light bulb and how to get electricity in the home. And he appreciated and valued failures. He also didn't call them failures. He said, I didn't fail. I just found another way that wouldn't work. And my granddad used to say that too. I didn't fail. I just found another way that didn't work. So part of the conversation that we had yesterday was, let's say there are 100 doors open to you, 100 doors. So 100 possibilities, 100 options, 100 methods, however you want to say that. When you find one that doesn't work, it's actually really great because it closes one of those doors, and now you've only got 99 to go. Now you've got 99 doors, and so it narrows the focus. It helps you to gain some understanding. It helps you to gain perspective. It helps you, in my case, to gain focus, to figure out where you are going so that you don't feel so scattered. In the work that I do and the works that I'm trying to do, it's easy for me to feel all over the place. And so failures actually really help me to, I don't want to say stay in my lane, but to understand things that I need to improve, to understand what audience I should be aiming for example, with a podcast and with books. So I really appreciate failure, and I really appreciate rejection, and I really appreciate spilling tomato all over the kitchen and my shoes and my white shirt, because those are the things that move me forward. They're things that help me to understand more today than I did yesterday. They're things that help me to get better at this thing that I really want to do. And for Emmett, who's in 4th grade, they're helping him to get better at the things that are required for him at school, and to have a better understanding of what things mean when they're asked of him, and to rely on himself more. And I think that's true of adults too. It's important to fail because you learn self-reliance. I think those things that we say that we value and we say that we treasure so much about the people that we admire. So it could be your grandparents, or it could be, a sports person or a celebrity. I don't care who it is. So whoever it is that you look up to, Tony Robbins, I mention all the time. When you listen to their stories, they've been through some really tough stuff, and they have failed spectacularly. They have failed gloriously. Great, big, massive failures in a pillar of life. Lost a marriage, ruined a business, and that failure allowed them to grow into who they are now. Not just allowed, it became the catalyst for them becoming who they are now. So I just want to encourage you today to embrace failure, and don't look at it as a negative thing, and don't quit. Please don't quit. That's what makes great people great, is their ability to keep moving forward, okay? And to reframe or see failures as something other than a flaw in yourself, because it's nothing to do with you, really. It's just something you tried and it didn't work. So you just go back to the drawing board and you try again. You try it a different way, or with a different person, or using different tools, and you figure it out, and you will figure it out. Failure is good. It's helping you figure it out. And as Marie Forleo, who I love so much, says, everything is figure-outable. Okay? Live in courage. I love you so much. Bye-bye.